Good evening. This is our first attempt at a short of some kind. We're going to be doing a basic unboxing. I'm doing this all as one take, so you're going to see me make mistakes like forgetting my razor blade. So we got 3 new projects for Zoe coming up, 4 actually, and Rossi's got another 2 or 3. And we started collecting materials. One of the projects we won't talk about just yet because it's a big deal for me. It's a big deal for Zoe. But the others, we started collecting some materials. Got more on the way, but I figured I'd do one of these each day. Stuff comes in. So, without further ado, the first project is one that is going to be on both Rossi and in Zoe, and that's going to be an under hood light system. If you watch Trail Recon or any number of other sites, they've done something similar. We're not really going to stray from the format, except that on Trail Recon they didn't put the insulating mat back on. We're going to. So essentially, what this is KC Cyclone 2.0 lights, and the Cyclone itself is a pretty cool light. You can buy them in any number of configurations, and by that I mean like you can buy them as one single light, or like in this kit, which comes with a wiring harness and zip ties and stuff. And if you haven't seen one before, it's a round puck basically, with actually has a hole in the middle, but it's covered by a cap right now. There you go, with a bolt hole in the middle. I think they were originally designed for use on ATVs and side-by-sides and stuff like that, but they're an incredibly practical, rugged design. I mean, this thing is, I think that's aluminum on the back. I know it's a polycarbonate cover. They're fairly bright, and they're very small. And by having this big honking hole in the middle, they're really easy to attach to things. And there are actually a whole set of things you can buy to mount with. Like there's a magnet and some other things. But we're going to be using we're going to be actually putting in, where we are going to vary from the standard practices, we're going to be putting nutserts in the frame for the hood, and then we'll be bolting these directly to the nutserts. Now, unlike most KC lights that come with Deutsch connectors, this is all barrel connect, which is good because this keeps the profile small. We'll be doing a whole video on installing these. I'm looking forward to it because it's kind of a cool practical upgrade, because there's just not enough light under that hood, and I don't know when it stopped being cool to install under hood lights, but at some point all of American manufacturers decided they just wanted to stop it. So the Cyclone, this is the underhood, or I guess they call it the 2 accessory light kit, but it's pretty much what everyone uses for the underhood lights. Comes with a pretty reasonable wire harness, ground cable that goes to, I guess it's pinned out for both lights. I assume there's a T-splice in here somewhere without tearing. Yeah, there it is. There's the T-splice right in there. So that's nice. It's well shrink tube, so it's good and clean. I'm assuming the same is the same here. This is the hot lead. Comes with a mechanical switch, which you could mount anywhere I suppose you want. Even inside, I guess you can technically even mount it inside the cab. I will not be doing that. I will be mounting this at the front lip of the hood, so when you open the hood, it's right there for you. I have considered mounting it in the blank hole on my, where my ARB compressor comes up. There's normally the Grimm off-road package. There's a switch that Grimm supplies. I bypassed that switch and went straight into my Switch Pro, so I can control the compressor up front and inside my cabinet. I considered using that spot, and I may still go back and do that, but for now, I kind of like the idea of the switch just being right there when I open the hood. So I think Josh and I are both going to do this the same way. With all these projects that we're doing to both vehicles, we're going to try. I'm going to do it on Zoe first, with or without filming. And then once we've actually figured out what we're going to do and we don't look like complete morons, we're going to go ahead and then we'll do the final product on Rossi. Makes sense. I mean, Zoe's more rough and ready, and Rossi is Rossi. It's very clean. And Josh doesn't want to do anything but that. I mean, it's not that he keeps it stock, but he wants to keep everything very clean and as stock looking as possible. With Zoe, we want it to be stock-ish. I don't want there to be a whole bunch of stuff that makes it look not stock, which is why I'm not really happy right now with the A-pillar lights. I think the mounts I have are just overkill. So I'm going to be looking for a more elegant solution. I'm also probably changing out the aux beams for KC lights. Okay, so enough on that. Again, here's the mount hardware. It comes with a full bag of mount hardware. It looks like it's a pretty well put together kit. It's what I come to expect from KC. I have now gone through, I guess, 3 different generations of, here's the pouch that has the other puck in it. I've gone through, I guess, as I've been doing lights for Zoe, I've gone through 3 different generations of lighting. I've kind of gotten the basic stuff off of general websites, kind of your Harbor Freight level lights, and then I went up to the aux beam level, and I've been pretty satisfied with the aux beam stuff. And now the KC light bugged me when I bought the previously owned ones that are on my bumper to replace the Quadra-Check lights, which are now going to Rossi, by the way. There's nothing wrong with the Quadra-Check lights. They're very bright. I didn't like the look of the Lego brick look of the one in front of Zoe, and I had the KC lights, which is night and day, almost literally. It comes with a KC sticker, so I'll be able to officially brand my Jeep with KC. Okay, enough on the underhood lights. I look forward to that project. I'm actually hopefully trying to do that this weekend. We've also bit the bullet, and unfortunately there's a sticker over it. This is the Oracle lighting kit for your back bumper. For those of you who have the Safari or Rubicon bumper, be that plastic or steel, and the Willys has that. There are reflectors on either side of right below the spare tire and on either side. And Oracle was clever enough to, there you go, there's a picture of the back of it. Oracle was clever enough to realize that those reflectors did next to nothing. And as we all kind of know, the reverse lights on the Jeep JL are not, even mine, which are LED, because they got the LED package, aren't the brightest in the world. And certainly going down, backing up a mountain trail, you want some extra light. So they came up with these light replacements that go into where the reflectors were. And they can be tied in any number of ways. I mean, the stock way is to feed them into the tail light cavity and right into the reverse light. So when you put it in reverse, they light up. Josh and I, of course, have decided to make that that is nowhere near complicated enough. Oh, it came with another sticker for my toolbox. We've decided that we want to be able to turn those lights on as floodlights, as utility lights. It's going to be more important on Rossi than it is on Zoe, because he wants to be able, he pulls that big trailer, that RV trailer, and he wants to be able to turn those lights on to help him at night hooking up the trailer. I'm interested in having them be able to turn them on if I'm setting up camp somewhere at night. And again, if I'm helping somebody, say I'm pulling somebody out of a situation at night, I can turn those on and provide a little more light when I try to connect up to their bumper or whatever. If I'm not pulling with the winch, or conversely, if someone's having to pull me out. So I think there's a lot of utility in them. So what we're going to do, and the next unboxing will hopefully have this part. I have found a dual directional diode unit. Now, not getting too much into it because I'm actually going to talk about this in another episode. The directional diodes are basically a small discrete piece of electronics that allows current to pass in one direction. Not going to get into it right now. Current doesn't pass the way you think it does, unless you're an electrical engineer or have some familiarity, you know what I mean? But suffice it to say, it's like a gate. It doesn't allow current to run backwards. So the idea here is that we can turn the lights on from either an aux switch up front or from the brake lights and from the reverse lights. And that sounds great, except when you realize that if you just did a splice, when you turn on the aux button, suddenly that would turn on the reverse lights. It's not just the auxiliary lights, the auxiliary reverse lights. So that's what the gate does, or vice versa. You put it in reverse, suddenly it's going to turn on. It's going to now try to backfeed your electrical system because it's passing electricity through. So that we don't want that to happen. If you understand plumbing, just think of it as one way valves. And so what the diodes do is they prevent that from happening. Now I've actually found there's a company, or several companies, that make units for trailers for folks who pull flat tow or dolly tow car or truck or whatever, or Jeep for that matter, behind their mobile home. They use these so they don't have to add additional lights for the same reason. So if you have this system in place, and it's tied into all the various lights in the back of the car, when you turn on your signals on the mobile home, that will power the light in the back of the car, and you won't have any issues with it backfeeding the car electronics, and vice versa. We only need one. When you're doing a car, I think I figured out it's like 7 or something like that. We only need the one, fortunately, because we're only controlling one type of light. So it's actually it turns out these things are pretty inexpensive. I think I got them for less than $10 or just over $10 a piece. Diodes themselves cost, well, they used to. I don't know what the current market value is. For all I know, they could be more expensive than myrrh these days. But generally speaking, diodes only cost a few cents a piece. The nice thing about this is they're all encased already. They're the 2 diodes are already in parallel. I don't have to solder anything. It's all just it's all just clip-ins. So and it's ruggedized already. So we think that's going to be a great solution. We're going to put those in the passenger side rear light compartment. So it's right there with the reverse, and then I'll run a line from the front of the vehicle to the back. In my case, I think it's aux 3 or 4. One of the two 15 amp, one of the lower amperage switches. I'm running. I would have put it in my Switch Pro, but I'm at this point. The Switch Pro is all spoken for at this point. I'm going to have to upgrade it eventually to a 12 positions unit. Anyway, I digress. So this is what they look like. If you're familiar with the back bumper, you'll see how that would theoretically, I guess they sit like that actually, would pop into pretty relatively easily. It turns out from doing my research that what we think is easy is not going to be easy, because the bolts you get to them is next to impossible. I'm probably going to have to actually take the bumper off the Jeep. Yay. And since I have all the safety stuff, sensors and stuff, there's a lot of wiring behind that stupid thing. Would I do it again? Yes, I think the safety features are helpful, just FYI. So we're going to be doing that. This system wants you to run one wire to each light cavity. We're going to run these together and then through the directional diodes that head up. The instructions online, when I read through them, I'm hoping these are better, but they look like they're exactly the same thing. They tell you how to remove the light in theory, which involves using a very complicated socket set system. But it doesn't tell you, and it tells you how to splice into the light in the cavity, but it doesn't actually tell you how you need to fish the wire up. So that's going to be an adventure. I haven't actually seen anywhere where they've showed anyone actually fishing the wire from the bumper up to the light cavity. So we'll see how that goes. What else did we buy? Oh, okay. So in the pursuit of, in the pursuit of tapping things, I wanted to try these new T-taps. They're not new. I mean, they're new to me. These are dual wire T-taps, and they're kind of cool. They remind me a little bit of the 3M taps you use on low voltage wiring for like phones and data. So you can see an 18 or 22 gauge dual wire pops in there, and then another one runs this way through here, and it taps it out. My first observation on them was something I kind of already knew. They're not gel filled, so maybe not by themselves should they be exposed, but it's a small amount of material. I would think that you'd be able to cover this with vinyl tape or wire harness tape pretty readily. Certainly half of it can be shrink tubed. So I don't think there's going to be much problem in terms of exposure. We'll see how it goes. I also have a single wire unit version of this coming. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm excited to try these. I'm not a huge fan of T-tapping. I much prefer to solder. But I want, in the interest of simplicity, I want to try this. The lights themselves came with the ones that are the T-taps I really don't like. I have a couple of these in the Jeep, and I really want to get rid of them. They're these squeeze type where you squeeze that onto the wire, and then you insert a fitting into this side, and they work, and they're temporary, I suppose. But I don't know. I've got a couple. I don't like them. What else? Oh, right. The big purchase. So, you heard me mention earlier Deutsch connectors. Pretty standard. Do I have anything in here? No, I don't. Pretty standard on most aftermarket lights that are of a decent quality. KC, being an example. Connectors are used are Deutsch connectors. They're not the same connectors that that Mopar uses themselves. However, they're pretty universal. In fact, even the Quadratech lights that I bought when I first got the Jeep had Deutsch connectors. And you can buy a Deutsch pigtail, which is the opposite gender Deutsch connector with a wire coming out of the back, which you then have to splice. I have been using, I did that initially for the first with the Quadratech lights, and I did not repeat that process when I got the KC lights, because the KC lights came with a really nice wire harness that had Deutsch connectors. The aux beams did not have connectors on them, and I bought something similar to a Deutsch connector, but a lot cheaper, and I'm satisfied with them. They worked very well, but they aren't Deutsch connectors, and they're not universal. They're sort of like this Chinese knockoff thing that's shaped even a little differently. They do the same thing. They're watertight, but they're not forward compatible. So here I already am at the point where I'm about to switch out, hopefully switch out some of these aux beams for KCs. Now I'm going to have to reconnectorize the wire harness with Deutsch connectors. Anyway, so we decided going into this that we were going to go ahead and just buy a Deutsch connector set. This set is very complete. I'm not going to tear too much into it, but this is what the male and female without pins look like. So you may have seen, if you picture that with pins inside of it, you may have gotten a connector from a light or something like that before. They're used heavily in Europe, Deutsch, German. I don't know why they're called German connectors, but they are. And I guess because they were invented in Germany. They're used a lot in the offshore industry. I used to see these kind of connectors all the time when I was working for Military Sea Lift Command for DC stuff. They're used again a lot in the automotive industry. They're watertight. They're really rugged. They require pinning though. You've got to. You see some of these are like this is a. I think this one handles 4 pins. The triangular shaped ones are 3 pin, and then it goes all the way up to, I think I even have like an 8 or 12. Yeah, I think this is a 12 pin. So I won't be using most of these really big ones like this 12 pin anytime soon. But should I need to make a special harness? Yeah, they are. They do require a special tool to connectorize them. However, it's very similar to the one I got for the sort of generic version of these that I have right now with my A-pillar lights and the in-cab reading lights. It's a crimp tool, like many crimp tools. It just has a special die set, and one of the things it has on this die set is a back plate. And I'm not sure exactly how this all works. I need to dig into it. But it seems to be a multi-crimp process where you crimp the pins in 2 different places and then push them into the Deutsch connector. And I don't look like there's any kind of Deutsch connector crimp. So I feel like I'm back working for MSC, crimping wires all day long. Well, that's about it, I think. Just for informational purposes, the Deutsch connector set, this one I got, which is not actual Deutsch, it's a different brand, but it's the same connectors. I think it was $250. There's a lot of connectors in here, though. I mean, a lot. There's like 20 or 30 2-pin, which is what I care the most about, and then a handful of the others. Interestingly, I should say, the 3 pins are going to be useful because some of the KC lights use a 3-pin connector, and that's because the well, like the lights I have on the front now, they have an amber ring that's wired separately, so they actually use a 3-pin Deutsch connector. So those will be prove handy later on, unless I just use the KC harness. Anyway, I think that's it for tonight, folks. I hope this wasn't too rambling. It's the first time we've done this, and the goal here is just to get more videos up more frequently. So, you all have a terrific evening. I'm going to go clean up this mess. Ciao.